As the story begins, the child, now growing, is seen accompanying her father on the farm. After finishing their work, he asks her to come home. Inside the house, she curiously examines a map of Edzi. Her eyes are drawn to the strange darkened areas beyond their continent. Uncharted, mysterious, silent. Her curiosity overwhelms her. She turns to her father and innocently asks what's beyond their land. But even he has no answer. He wants to satisfy her curiosity, but he can't. He, like everyone else, is in the dark. Why? Because no one knows. He shares that all humans are born curious, always driven to explore the unknown. But every mission sent beyond the edges of Edzi has ended in ruin. Complete destruction. The cause? For powerful demons guarding the corners of the land, north, south, east, and west. Teams sent to investigate never return. They are destroyed without a trace. She is stunned. Does that mean those places are cursed? Still, her curiosity doesn't die. Her father tells her there is no way to move forward unless the 4 demon lords are defeated. And for that, they must find a solution. He explains that there exist ancient relics, sacred weapons once wielded by legendary warriors. Only those chosen by these relics can battle the demon lords. Until such heroes rise, mankind will remain caged in their small corner of the world. That sparks something in her. The idea of becoming one of those heroes fills her with purpose. She dreams of wielding one of the weapons, specifically, the Sword of Haydn. If she could obtain it, she believes she can fight, win, and finally reveal what lies beyond the darkness. Years fly by. Alicia is no longer the little girl on the farm. She's matured and has been selected among the next generation of heroes. As she sits in a transport truck heading to the outer edge of Edzi, she clutches a pendant around her neck and whispers to her father in spirit, it's time to protect their homeland. She's not alone on this journey. A group of other chosen warriors rides with her. One by one, they begin talking, introducing themselves. Among them is Minol, bearer of the relic Ogunkyo, though he oddly admits he doesn't know his origin. When Alicia is asked to share her name, the group is surprised to see a woman among them. She doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. As they near their destination, Stefan, known for wielding the Tenma relic, cautions them, they're close. Everyone acknowledges Stefan as the strongest among them. Without warning, the truck screeches to a halt. The driver refuses to go any farther. Even before they disembark, chaos erupts. Demons attack mid-transit, claiming the lives of a few warriors immediately. Stefan yells for everyone to exit and defend themselves. Chaos ensues. He quickly organizes them into squads. Archers and lancers take position. Alicia is paired with Stefan to push through the center of the battlefield. She, too, possesses a relic, one called Iwachubane. Alicia's presence on the field is commanding. Her instincts are razor sharp, and she fights with precision. On a towering ridge ahead, one of the demon lords emerges. He speaks cryptically of a universe ruled by chaos. If the world is born of chaos, then he is, too. Perhaps he isn't wrong. The battle rages on. The warriors charge across rocks and slopes, determined to climb the mountain where their true fight awaits. Stefan can barely contain his excitement. Being hailed as the most brilliant among them, he believes it's only right to live up to the title. He tells the others that today is the day they prove their worth, the day they show those who chose them that their faith wasn't misplaced. As the group arrives at Mount Moon, the demon lord emerges. His magnificent, if such a word could ever apply. His pale, cloud-like fur and overwhelming presence make him truly fearsome. This is Clevatess of the southern moonlight. Stefan finds himself thrown off balance. He acknowledges the dread building inside him. This creature is beyond terrifying. Yet they've accepted this mission. They are not alone, they are the chosen ones. Together, they can forge a legacy. With determination hardening in his eyes, Stefan steps forward, only to be struck from a distance. Clevatess launches a sudden attack, smashing Stefan against the rock face and ending his life instantly. Shock ripples through the group, the demon lord hadn't even moved. One of the remaining heroes takes charge, rallying the others to press on, but Alicia hesitates, scanning the surroundings carefully. As the group charges toward Clevatess, they're cut down, one by one. The demon lord still hasn't taken a single step. Then Alicia pieces it together. She yells out that Clevatess is striking from his shadow. The danger isn't him directly, it's what hides beneath. To survive, they must escape the reach of his shadow. Doubts swirl, but Alicia doesn't wait. She starts leaping across the jagged terrain, weaving through the mountain's rocky paths. The shadow lunges after her, and she becomes the first among them to spot an incoming strike and meet it head-on. Clevatess's glowing eyes widen, momentarily stunned. Perhaps this would be different from the other humans he had faced. It doesn't concern him much, but now he's curious. So this is what humans are like now? He hadn't encountered their kind in a millennium. Last he remembered, they were fragile, barely a threat. Yet now, they seem to have fire, purpose. There's something driving them. And to understand it, he knows he must uncover the source. The battle rages on. Though they fight with all they have, every hero falls. In the end, Alicia is the last to go. She's sent skyward, blood in her lungs, and with eyes closed, she faces the inevitable. She whispers an apology to her father. She couldn't fulfill the dream they shared. Some dreams never come true. Hers would remain among them. Far away, in the city of Hydelart, the heart of the Haydn kingdom, life moves along without concern. No one suspects the storm that's on its way. Suddenly, Clevatess bursts forth from the mountains overlooking the capital. Fear spreads like wildfire, but Clevatess isn't there to destroy. He's merely intrigued. He's not there to kill them all, not yet. He wants answers. The ones who trespassed in his domain claim to be heroes, sent by the king of Haydn. Now he's set on cutting through anything or anyone standing between him and that king. Panic erupts. The citizens flee in all directions as the kingdom's knights rally. Archers take position and release volleys, but Clevatess doesn't bother retaliating. Instead, he leaps from rooftop to rooftop, gliding toward the palace, eyes fixed on the truth he seeks. At the gates, the palace guards raise defenses, arrows raining through the air. None even graze him. Their strength is disappointing. Their efforts, laughable. He surveys their futile defense, expression unbothered. These humans are not strong. Their attacks are nothing. With a single motion of his arm, he shatters the stone defenses. The massive outer wall crumbles like dried earth. Realizing they're no match, one soldier breaks formation and runs to the throne room. He reports that a demon has arrived. The king listens, his fate unreadable. There's no surprise in his eyes. A demon appearing here means only one thing. The heroes have been defeated. He rises slowly from his seat and begins to walk. There's only one thing left that he must protect, the blade of Haydn, Mana Hydelart. A knight rushes in, bringing grim news. A demon has entered the city, and nothing seems capable of stopping it. The knight advises the king to take cover. But if this demon truly cannot be stopped, then what point is there in running? No matter where he goes, it will eventually find him. The other knights continue their futile attempts, launching flames and arrows at Clevatess. Though their efforts are in vain, Clevatess is undeniably powerful. He recalls how Alicia's sword had slightly affected him, a rare occurrence, and realizes that humans, if left unchecked, could eventually pose a real threat. He's not the one encroaching on human territory, they're the ones seeking his. That alone is reason enough to strike back. As the king approaches the chamber housing the sacred blade, he opens the door, only to find Clevatess waiting on the other side. One glance at his attire and presence is all Clevatess needs to confirm that this man is the king. Clevatess speaks fluently in the human tongue, stunning the king. The monarch is taken aback. Demons aren't supposed to speak their language. He demands to know how Clevatess can do so. Realizing the demon's identity, the king listens as Clevatess claims to be the only one capable of saving humanity. Clevatess says he has just a few questions, and the king's answers will decide the fate of all mankind. Not just the people of Haydn, but also those of Dawn, Org, Sir Ada, and Bent. His questions are basic. Who are humans truly? What drives them? What are they seeking? And why are they trying to invade the demon realm? The king scoffs, unwilling to explain anything to a demon. He outright refuses to answer, and Clevatess doesn't bother repeating himself. He swiftly beheads the king and walks away, concluding that humans are inherently dangerous. Therefore, they must be eliminated. However, to erase all of humanity, he'll need allies. A group of loyal beings to help carry out the mission. He begins planning. As he walks through the ruins, a baby's cry pierces the air. A dying woman clutches her newborn tightly in her arms. Clevatess approaches, uninterested at first. It's just a human infant. But then the woman speaks. She begs him to spare the child. He's shocked by her request. Does she not recognize who she's pleading with? She's asking mercy from the very being determined to wipe them out. Clevatess reminds her that he intends to end humanity. If she wants to curse someone for the child's death, she should blame the child for being born human. But the woman pushes back. She tells him it's not the child's fault, no one chooses how they are born. He remains cold. Yet, he challenges her. If she wants the child to live, she must give him a reason to allow it. She admits she's dying and cannot prove the child's worth. But she believes, truly believes, the child will show his value when he grows older. With those final words, she passes. Clevatess picks up the child. He's far from convinced. But if what she says is true, it won't take long for him to observe the child's growth. Time means little to him. He will wait and see what the boy becomes. Elsewhere, in this vast world, humanity is divided into 5 primary races. The Duns, who are the most numerous, the Orgites, known for their courage and the horns atop their heads, the Sladins, reclusive and quiet, avoiding interactions with others, and the Benti, who resemble demon raiders but possess incredible strength. The Hydenians, humanoid in appearance and the most physically delicate among all the known races, stand out for their exceptional intellect. They alone possess the ancient knowledge to forge weapons from the rare arcanicite material, a skill safeguarded by the royal bloodline. Given their lack of physical strength, they have built their reputation and trade by supplying these powerful weapons to the Dun race. Over time, this ongoing exchange has deepened relations between the two races, leading to shared adventures and interbreeding. Even so, pureblood Hydenians have grown increasingly rare. Far from the grand cities where these races dwell, the world outside teems with dangerous, shadowy creatures, among them, massive 9-tailed beasts, reminiscent of folklore. Deep within the lunar mountains, one such creature, a mighty beast named Clevatess, fends off lesser predators attempting to feast on an abandoned human infant. Alarmed by the crying child, he grows concerned the infant won't last long out in the wild. To calm the baby, Clevatess curls his enormous frame around it. Unsure how to deal with the constant wailing, he gently taps the baby's forehead with a claw, sending it into a peaceful sleep. As he watches over the infant, he gets a strange hunch that the child is about to unleash a very messy surprise. True to his instincts, the child soon wakes, screaming again. Frustrated but not entirely heartless, Clevatess sets off in search of a way to care for it. His first idea? A pit. Wait, don't panic. It's not a deadly pit. It's just a bug-filled one. These aren't the kind of bugs that bite or sting, though, they're the kind that feast on waste. As they do their job, Clevatess rambles about his odd assumption that human children grow up overnight. Still unsure of the baby's origins, he regrets letting his soft side lead him to rescue it. But what's done is done, and now he has a human baby to care for. Refusing to abandon the child, Clevatess turns to a more creative solution. Using his dark powers, he revives a fallen human woman named Alicia, whose past is marked by tragedy. After losing her father to dark beasts, she had recklessly led an army to take vengeance on Clevatess himself, only to be defeated. Now resurrected, Alicia lunges at Clevatess in defiance, only to discover her weapons and fallen comrades have all vanished. Clevatess smugly explains that she now lives only by his dark magic, essentially making her undead. Surprisingly, she's still quite striking in appearance. Shocked by her situation, she can't help but wonder how he speaks fluent human language. Though disoriented, she's somewhat relieved to be the sole survivor. But her relief is short-lived. Without warning, Clevatess demands she present her fruits. Horrified, she jumps to the wrong conclusion, thinking the beast is making crude advances. Before her mind spirals further, he clarifies, he needs her to feed the human baby. Realizing what he meant, she protests, but under his magical influence, she's compelled to obey. Hesitantly, she removes her armor and complies. To Clevatess's disappointment, there's no milk. Alicia, embarrassed, explains that a woman must give birth before she can produce milk, basic biology unknown to the beast. Ashamed of being exposed in such a humiliating way, she begs for a swift end to her misery, but Clevatess pays her no mind. Meanwhile, the baby starts crying once more, and rather than addressing the problem, the pair continue bickering over how he came to find the child in the first place. Tired of pointless discussions, Clevatess firmly states that they need to find a way to feed the child. Although she has no experience with childcare, she hesitantly admits that they'll need a nursing woman to feed the baby. The obvious problem now is how they'll find such a person. Alicia suggests hiring one, but that requires money. Clevatess is completely broke, but the cave is filled with valuable arcanicite, which could easily be converted into funds. Even someone like Elon Musk would be impressed. While Clevatess weighs his options, Alicia momentarily considers ambushing him. However, without her sword, she knows there's not much she can do. After a brief moment of thought, Clevatess agrees they need someone to breastfeed the baby. Just as he prepares to leave, Alicia points out that walking into town as he is now would cause mass panic. His monstrous form would terrify everyone. Alicia volunteers to take the baby into town herself, but Clevatess quickly dismisses that idea. He doesn't want the child out of his sight. Instead, he shapeshifts into a young human boy. His transformation is almost perfect, except for the 9 tails still swaying behind him. A single horn also juts out from his forehead. He manages to retract the tails into a dark void beneath him, though the horn remains. Strangely, he doesn't notice it, and Alicia chooses to stay silent about it. Before they leave, he decides on names, Clen for himself and Luna for the baby. It's only then that he thinks to ask Alicia for her name, and she shares it. With that, the trio heads toward a nearby river. At the river, Alicia takes charge of washing the baby. Clen interrupts a few times but lets her continue, until she's abruptly hit with a stream of pee. Throughout the process, Clen nags constantly, criticizing her cleaning methods like a grumpy old woman. From how she rinses the child, to the way she swaddles it, Clen comments on everything. He even points out spots she missed, clearly convinced that even waste-eating bugs could do a better job. They eventually reach Alicia's camp, which is currently abandoned. She explains that their group stored valuables somewhere else. Before they go retrieve them, Clen tells her to bathe, commenting that she smells like someone trying to set a record for the longest time without a bath. He also gives her the baby's blanket to clean. While washing it, she notices something shocking, the emblem of the Hydenian royal family. It becomes clear that the child is of noble blood. Back in the ruined remains of the royal castle, a lone soldier searches for any survivors, only to be stunned by the devastation left behind by the Dark Lord. The scene stirs memories of the Crown Princess's desperate attempt to escape the kingdom with her child before chaos erupted. He places the blame for the kingdom's downfall squarely on the king's madness, yet still clings to the hope of finding at least one soul who survived. Meanwhile, General Drell and his remaining troops observe the ruins of the Hydenian kingdom with a strategic eye. Drell commands one of his men to inform the Emperor immediately, warning that if they delay in claiming Haiden, another race will seize the opportunity. His primary motive isn't just territorial, it's the elusive method of crafting arcanicite, a technique known only to the Hydenian royals. As he returns to regroup his forces, he tasks his second-in-command, Maynard, with tracking down any remaining royal-blooded survivors and bringing them directly to him. Elsewhere, Alicia confronts Clen, holding up a piece of fabric with a noble crest, accusing him of abducting a child of royal heritage. Clen, taken aback, confesses that he was given the child by someone who shares his exact physical form. Alicia doubts his claims, but Clen silences her protests and calmly admits that he killed the king, but only because the king attacked him first. He believes many will pursue the child in search of the arcanicite secret. Now aware of the child's true identity, Clen is determined to crown him and control the future from behind the scenes. His declaration of seeing the child as a mere servant unsettles Alicia, who begins to regret exposing the truth. Clen insists they find a woman who can nurse the child, eager to feed him. As they depart, Alicia tries to reassure herself, thinking Clen's appearance, specifically the horn on his head, will lead humans to reject him. Yet she overlooks that Orgites have similar features, making Clen harder to identify as a threat. Still, she holds on to the belief that someone will uncover his intentions before it's too late. She's also growing increasingly aware of Clen's twisted obsession with Luna, and fears that any harm coming to Luna could bring catastrophe upon humanity. Determined, she silently vows to protect Luna at all costs. However, their journey is abruptly interrupted by a group of bandits who attack them and strike Clen on the head. Initially, Alicia assumes the attackers are nothing more than lowly thieves, unworthy opponents for the Lord of Dark Beasts. But when Clen collapses, blood streaming from his head, she screams and ends up getting knocked unconscious by a blow to her own head. As she blacks out, Alicia is shocked at how powerless she feels, even with the dark energy of Clevatess within her. When she regains consciousness, she briefly envisions herself surrounded by soldiers preparing for battle against Clevatess, like a surreal memory. But Clen snaps her out of it by calling her a fool and demanding she wake up. Snapping back to reality, Alicia realizes they've been taken prisoner by the bandits. Clen, surprisingly, doesn't seem troubled. In fact, he smiles. Inside the bandits' wagon, Clen sits among several other captives, calmly holding baby Luna. Despite the relaxed expression on his face, Alicia feels increasingly anxious, not understanding why Clem appears so composed in such a dire situation. Spotting Luna peacefully asleep, Alicia turns to Clem and asks how he managed to soothe the infant. Clem replies that Luna had been crying earlier, but the gentle motion of the carriage lulled her to sleep. Luna then subtly inches closer to Clem and quietly asks him something only he can answer: why someone as powerful as him, once hailed as one of the mightiest demon kings in existence, allowed himself to be captured. She suspects that changing his outward appearance might have also diminished his powers, which could explain why he was knocked unconscious with a single hit. Clem responds that her theory is nearly correct, but with a small caveat. When he transformed his appearance to resemble a human, it unintentionally weakened his physical body to match that of an average person. As a result, when he was struck from behind without warning, he was caught off guard and blacked out. Essentially, while Clem's magical abilities remain intact, his physical durability has significantly dropped. However, he could reinforce his body with his powers if he wanted to. So why hasn't he broken out yet? Clem explains that, since he now appears human, he intends to keep his strength hidden until Luna eventually takes the throne. For now, he's letting things unfold naturally to maintain his cover. Additionally, Clem expresses interest in understanding the human world better, including why ordinary people like their fellow captives are being kidnapped. That's why he hasn't attempted to escape yet. Hearing this, Alicia can't help but call him clueless and explains the reality. They were taken by bandits who likely planned to sell them into slavery. She insists that he shouldn't judge all humans based on what these criminals do, emphasizing that bandits are among the worst humanity has to offer. Soon, the wagon pulls into the bandits' hideout. The prisoners are split into two groups, men in one and women and children in another. Suddenly, one captive makes a desperate dash for freedom. Watching him flee, Degan, a higher-ranking bandit, smirks, clearly amused at what he sees as a foolish move. His amusement is short-lived but justified. Another bandit hurls a dagger into the man's back, instantly ending his escape attempt and his life. With the matter resolved, Degan issues a cold warning to the rest of the captives: anyone who tries to flee will suffer the same fate. He then singles out Alicia and tells her to follow him. Before she can say anything, he grabs her arm and starts pulling her away, likely to question her further. As Clem debates what to do, a woman named Calm, apparently in charge of managing the female and child captives, takes notice of him standing there holding an infant. Spotting the baby, she calls over her assistant Neru, whose responsibility is to look after the babies taken during the raids. Neru is assigned to care for Luna. The bandits' base is set inside a rocky quarry. Hidden deep within the pit is a pool, and at the bottom of that water lies a fabled crimson sword. But it isn't unguarded. Something immensely powerful lurks below, keeping the weapon safe. Meanwhile, it becomes clear that Degan may not be the menace he first appeared to be. He hasn't taken Alicia for his own purposes but rather brought her to someone else, Braco, the acting head of the Crow's gang. With the actual boss, Jazak, currently absent, Braco has assumed control. No one dares challenge him, largely because of his pet beast, Betty, a creature capable of turning victims into shreds in seconds. Alicia identifies Betty as a Western demon, surprised that someone like Braco was able to tame such a monster. Braco speaks to Betty, who expresses a desire to play with a male human. Braco gives her permission to pick one of the two men who escorted Alicia to his quarters. Before indulging the demon, however, Braco reveals the real reason Alicia was summoned. The bandits now possess the magical crystals she collected from Clem's fortress. Braco recognizes them as originating from Mount Moon, the domain of the fearsome entity known as Clevatess. Based on what he's seen, and the fact that Alicia didn't panic or flee at the sight of Betty, Braco deduces that she must be one of the 13 warriors dispatched by Haydn to eliminate Clevatess. He figures she was heading back to Haydn with a stash of magic crystals in tow, and then drops a grim revelation: the royal capital has already fallen to Clevatess' might. Still, Braco doesn't see this as a loss for his group, the Crows. In fact, he thinks it's an opportunity. He shows off a blade with a reddish tint, claiming it's a Mana Hydlart sword, an exclusive weapon known only to the Haydn royal line. Of course, Braco admits his version is a forgery, one of many his group sells to the clueless. But now that the Haydn royals are on for good, the value of these knockoff swords is bound to skyrocket. It's a profitable scheme, but Braco is chasing something bigger: the original, untainted Hydlart swords once wielded by Haydn's kings and bestowed upon the heroes. He believes the rest of Alicia's fellow champions are already dead, slain by Clevatess, and that Alicia survived only because she abandoned them. He presses her for the location of her sword, and the ones carried by the other 12 fallen heroes. When Alicia doesn't respond, Braco gives the order, Dagan and Satchar to take her to Clevatess domain and search for the hidden relics. Dagan offers an alternate idea, maybe they should use her to retrieve another treasure they've been keeping an eye on. But Braco rejects the suggestion and sticks to his original plan. He even tells them to swear her out if they want, just to keep her from causing problems later. Elsewhere, Clem is working in a rough tavern called the Bandits Inn, which is managed by Calm. Clem notices how many lowlifes try to flirt with Calm, and silently reflects on how despicable the people here are. Meanwhile, Neru is tending to baby Luna, using milk her father forgot to bring home. Neru also serves as a waitress in the inn, enduring mistreatment from the bandit patrons. Clem diligently brings food to the customers, earning a bit of respect for his service. But Calm notices something off about him. Everyone assumes Clem is an orc because of his horns, but his pale skin and sharp, piercing eye suggest something far more dangerous. Later, 2 bandits corner Neru and drag her away. They torment her for hours, leaving her battered and bleeding. Despite the pain, she doesn't speak out. Once it's over, she silently returns to care for Luna, unfazed on the outside but clearly broken within. Unexpectedly, the 2 men who assaulted her begin to feel faint. Their bodies weaken, and then they vanish entirely, snuffed out of existence. It's Clem's doing. Without fanfare, he delivers punishment for what they did to Neru. When Neru returns to find Luna cradled in Clem's arms, she's unaware of what transpired. She takes the child and heads to a nearby shed to continue nursing him. Clem follows and sits quietly beside her, expressing interest in her life. He gently asks if she can tell him about herself. Not out of suspicion, just curiosity. She hesitates at first, but then begins to share. She tells him she's spent her whole life in this place, known only as a member of the Crows. Her past is a blur of shadows. She never knew a father, and even her mother was more of a ghost than a presence, someone she saw only from behind. Her only memories of her mother are tainted. She once spied on the men who forced themselves on her. Then, when she was just 12, her mother vanished, without a trace. Neru doesn't know if she died or escaped. All she remembers is that one night, while she was eating, several men came to her. They struck her. From that point on, her life descended into misery, a relentless cycle of pain and survival. She came to understand that it had always been her mother protecting her all along. Each day was a struggle, her abuse became routine, and she was treated no better than livestock. Everything changed when she encountered Sis Calm. Kami explained to her that if she pleased the men, they'd leave her alone, satisfied and distracted from their cruelty. That very night, she chose to follow Calm. Under her guidance, she learned the art of pleasing men. Though she could never become like Calm, life gradually began to change for the better. Now, she had a source of income and could provide for her children, her body producing an abundance of milk. In this, she found a sense of contentment. Clem, puzzled, asks why she produces milk without a child of her own. That's when she shares the truth. She had been pregnant once, but the child was stillborn. Feeling her baby move inside her had given her a reason to carry on, a sense of hope. But when the child was born lifeless, her world turned cold. When the midwives confirmed her child hadn't survived, she felt herself slipping into the darkness. In that moment, she accepted the idea of dying too. Perhaps she could meet her baby in the afterlife. But then, something unexpected happened. A sudden warmth filled her chest. She opened her eyes and saw a 6-month-old infant nursing from her. The child's desperate will to live gave her purpose. She embraced him, feeding him with all she had. That moment reignited her will to survive. She raised that child and nurtured others who found their way to her. Feeding them and seeing them live on through her was more than enough to make her feel fulfilled. She admits that she tried to bear children again, twice in fact, but both times ended in heartbreak. Clem, growing weary of the heavy tale, interrupts and asks her to make a decision. Would she come with him and serve as Luna's wet nurse? He makes it clear he has no intention of forcing her, but since Luna has taken a liking to her, the arrangement could benefit them all. Luna even taps her, expressing a silent plea for her to join them. Once again, Clem offers her the choice. Would she leave with him to care for Luna? Or stay behind, allowing the vile men to continue using her as they pleased? She understands that the offer holds value, yet she hesitates. From what she knows, Clem is a slave himself. Accepting his offer now might be foolish. She expresses her regret, she cannot go with him. Her heart belongs to the other children she supports, the one she continues to nourish. Handing Luna back to Clem, she departs. Elsewhere, the gang leads Alicia to a bridge, forcing her to walk across. As she reaches the center, she pauses and looks below. They assume she intends to jump, warning her that she won't survive the fall. But she isn't planning to leap to her death, she's staring into the river below, spotting something glimmering beneath the surface. She recognizes it. Before she can speak, the gang informs her that this is the very river where the legendary hero Cord lost his life. She already knows that story. One of the slaves suddenly steps forward, declaring that he'll enter the river to retrieve the object they seek. If successful, they promise to free him and his wife. Encouraged by his wife, he dives in, clinging to that hope. But the gang never intended to free them. As he enters the water, monstrous creatures swarm and devour him. Alicia knew this would happen. This place is known as Pound Shaft, a site infested with monsters that emerged 300 years ago. Deep within the river, buried with Arvensis during a great flood, lies his sword. That's what the gang truly wants retrieved. But retrieving it is impossible. Alicia accuses them of sending the man to his death, even pointing out how carelessly they secured his rope. They snap back, reminding her she isn't here to offer judgment, and they bring forward the brute meant to beat her. She stares at the hideous man, Pito, who leaps onto the bridge with cruel intentions. He imagines tearing off her clothes, making vile threats. But before he can reach her, she twists her arm, grabs his sword, and severs the rope connecting the bridge. In a final act of defiance, she jumps. As she falls, she tells herself to trust Clem's words, that she won't die. But can she truly survive what comes next?